Welcome to the best football show. I am Brian Baldinger. I'm your host. We're here nearly every single day, and you can find all of my breakdowns. They said there's 36 million views on my breakdown since the Super Bowl. Kind of proud of that. Broke down the tush push, but it's all over at Baldy NFL. You can find me on TikTok, Instagram, X, YouTube, you name it. And then you can find this podcast wherever you get your podcast. You can download this Odyssey free podcast and then like it and subscribe to it. So here we go. We're 4 days after the Super Bowl. We're still kind of getting the aftermath here. I've been on a number of different shows. I was on with the 33rd team watching Tiki Barber break down the defense. I've been on a variety of shows. I've gone back and combed through the tape, just looking for certain things. And really, every time you go back through it, you see nothing but Eagles domination. And so, it starts, honestly, with the Eagles' offensive line. Now, I know Saquon didn't run for a lot of yards, but Jalen did. So what the Eagles' offensive line forces you to do is it forces you to be good and great at everything because of how much time they actually give Jalen to throw the football. It's amazing how much time he had. And I'm talking about pockets. He only threw it 22 times. But I'm talking about pockets that are flat in the front, wide on the edges. Exactly the way you draw your pocket up, whether it's play action, slide protection, pocket protection, you name it, scat protection, all the different protections. No matter what they did, they had almost clean pockets every time. But Steve Spagnuolo did a great job, masterful job, really, of taking Saquon out like nobody else had. I mean, there wasn't a lot of running room, but if you want to press the 3 wide receivers in, whether it's cover 3, quarters, cover 2, you want to press the wide receivers and play your safeties deep the way they did. If you want to play that style, fine. And you want to play Drew Tranquil, Nick Bolton, Leo Chenal, and just crash the offensive line to take away all the daylight for Saquon, fine. They did that. But they also got one-on-one with, Devonta Smith against Jalen Watson, Jahan Dotson against Jalen Watson. They got Devonta Smith down the field. They got A.J. Brown on a crossing route. I don't know what Leo Chenal is doing on the 12-yard touchdown to A.J. Brown to go up, 17-0 or 24-0. I don't know what he was doing on the play. But if he was supposed to pick up A.J. Brown on the crosser, they were defeated. So it starts up front. Mekhi Becton came out for a few plays. Tyler Steen went in, didn't skip a beat. They ran a play out of a pistol formation in the first quarter where they pulled Mekhi Becton on a power with 2 tight ends, and Drew Tranquil came from the backside, and he tackled Saquon for a 1-yard loss. Okay, they won that down. Kellen Moore came back in the third quarter, right after Kansas City turned the ball over on downs, 1st and 10 at the 46-yard line. And there goes the exact same formation. Pistol, 2 tight ends, pull the right guard, in that case, Tyler Steen, sell the play action, put the ball in the mesh of the belly of Saquon, and you see all 3 linebackers, Bolton, Tranquil, Chenal, all bite up to stop Saquon. And Jalen pulled the ball out of his belly, sat back on the NFL Shield logo in the middle of the field, and threw a dime to Devonta Smith for a touchdown. You can't take everything away from this Eagles offense. You can do a lot. You do a lot of good things, and Spags did. You can't take it all away. And that's Eagles domination. And then on the other side of the ball, to really rush 4 the whole game, never rush more than 4. 1 zone pressure where they brought Zach Bond and they dropped Nolan Smith. 1 zone pressure, 1 twist stunt out of 38 drop back pass attempts by Patrick Mahomes. And I think Vic Fangio went into the game plan saying, let's rush 4 and see what we can do to Mahomes. We're not going to spy him. We're not going to bring extra pressure. Let's see what we can do with 4. And if we're successful with that, we'll stay with it. And if we're not successful, Now we'll have these change-ups. Well, the opening third down, that the Chiefs had, third down attempts that they got stuffed out because of good pass pressure with just 4. Vic Fangio's like, and you see that lead go from 7-0 to 10-0 to the pick 6 by, Cooper DeJean to 17-0 to the shallow cross to A.J. Brown to 24-0. Pretty soon, you're making this game unwinnable, and you go, well, let's just stay what we're doing. And then you look at who's rushing. Their rush line basically is Nolan Smith, Jalen Carter, Milton Williams, and Josh Sweat. And then you add in Jordan Davis, you add in Moro Ojomo, you add in the rookie Jalen Hunt. Brandon Graham played 14 snaps, got himself a pressure and a holding call. Jalen Carter drawing a hold from Trey Smith. And they're affecting this whole game with their front 4. It's domination is what they did. And then if you go, okay, the ball didn't go over their head outside of the final quarter when it was 34-0. I mean, think about it. It's 34-0 with 34 seconds to go in the third quarter when Xavier Worthy scores a touchdown. It's domination. And it's really the blueprint of what the Eagles are doing. And really every team should look very closely at what Howie Roseman and the Eagles are doing. Because if you just look at the draft this year, okay, they had the first cornerback. They had access to the first cornerback take. Remember, there wasn't a defensive player drafted until the Colts took Laiatu Latu, all right, with the, 16th pick. So the Eagles get the first pick at corner. There's Terrion Arnold, there's Kool-Aid McKinstry, and there's Quinyon Mitchell, and they take Quinyon. And he was the best corner, one of the best corners in the whole league, but certainly the best rookie corner. And then in the second round, you trade up to go get Cooper DeJean. I call him Cooper DeJam. Travis Kelce couldn't get off the line of scrimmage against him. He gets a pick 6. Mahomes never sees him. He's in, basically curl flat coverage, cover 3 look, pick 6, 17-0. You look at Jalen Hunt out of Houston Christian, right, with the 3rd round pick. They struck gold in all 3. There's, Jalen Hunt going up against, the left tackle of the Chiefs, driving him right back into the court of Mahomes and getting the sack. They struck gold in all 3 guys. The year before, Jalen Carter is one of the top 3 defensive linemen in this league right now. You get Nolan Smith, who basically has become one of the most feared edge rushers in this league and one of the most violent players in the league. You get him. And then you get Tyler Steen, in the 2nd round. They struck gold in all 3 of those. Year before, Jordan Davis, Milton Williams. I mean, not only are they drafting great, and there's not a miss in the first 3 rounds of the last 3 drafts. I don't know another team that can say that. And then it's about drafting good young players and then developing those young players. Because I don't think anybody in this whole business improved as much as Nolan Smith did during the course of the season. He went from being what people were saying was a first-round bust last year, where he didn't make much of an dent, them signing Bryce Huff to a $51 million contract and figuring out that he really doesn't fit Vic Fangio's defense, to getting Nolan Smith on the field, to watching Nolan Smith practice, pregame warm-up work. The guy is a legit big-time player. And you put him next to Jalen Carter, you might have a best side of a defensive line in all of football. Because if you think that Nolan Smith at 238 pounds and 6'2" is too small to hold up, well, watch him just jack up one tackle and one tight end after another. Watch him jack him up. Watch him play with explicit violence, and then watch him get off blocks and make tackles. The guy's going to go to a lot of Pro Bowls. Like, he's a Pro Bowl caliber player right now. So that's the blueprint, is you work the draft, you get these picks, you strike on these picks, and you develop these players, and they become the core of your team. And then you go, okay, with the money that we have or the money we can create, we'll go take Saquon. We believe in running backs. We believe in an elite running back. We'll go get Zach Bond, and we'll go, okay, we think he was a good player coming out of Wisconsin. We don't believe the New Orleans Saints used him properly, but we have a plan for Zach Bond. We're going to sign him. Well, we had Chauncey Gardner-Johnson here 2 years ago, went to a Super Bowl with them. We didn't sign him. We signed James Bradbury instead. Maybe we made a mistake, but we let him go to Detroit, where he was miserable and hated it and couldn't wait to come back to Philly. And now you pair him next to Reid Blankenship, and you have a solid safety tandem. And you just look at this and you go, okay, this is how you build a championship team. Like, don't overthink this stuff. Get as many high draft picks in the first 3 rounds as you can. Do your homework. Nolan Smith, I'll just say this. He is not a good kid. He's a great kid. He's a great kid that loves the game. Now, you can look at Georgia players, Jalen Carter, Trayvon Walker. None of them had great production under Kirby Smart. But Kirby's like, we're just going to play. We got 5-star recruits. We're getting them on the field. We're going to rotate them through. Well, if you're rotating for 15 games in college football, winning 2 natties, the guys aren't going to get big numbers. They're not going to have big sack numbers. They're not on the field enough. But look at that kid that Nolan Smith is. Look at the work ethic. Look at the way that he plays the game. Like, that's what, championship football looks like. But let's say this. I hear this chatter that Kansas City is done. They're washed. Like, this is the zenith of the Kansas City Chiefs. Let me explain to you what Brett Veach and Andy Reid are already doing and what Pat Mahomes said after the game. He basically said, this is one of the worst days of my life. I'm never going to forget this loss. I'm going to be driven by this. That's the Kansas City Chiefs. That's who they are. So when they lost to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 4 years ago to Tom Brady, and the offensive line wasn't very good, they went out and traded for Orlando Brown Jr. They went out and signed their left guard, in free agency from the New England Patriots. They went out and drafted Creed Humphrey in the 2nd round. They went out and drafted Trey Smith in the 6th round. And he was off almost everybody's boards in the draft that year because he had blood clots that were a legitimate concern at Tennessee. Well, him and Creed and Trey, they played every game together for 4 years. They fixed their offense line in 1 year. So if you're picking at the 31st or the 32nd pick in the 1st round, you're not getting the elite offensive tackles that it takes to get those guys. Lane Johnson was the 4th pick. Trent Williams was the 4th pick. You're not in a position to draft those guys. But you could see them going after Ronnie Stanley in Baltimore. You go after them getting a veteran left tackle so that you can then put, your interior together. Again, look, the Chiefs got Orlando Brown in free agency. They got Juwan Taylor in free agency. They don't pick high enough to get the elite guys. But they're going to get themselves a left tackle, put their left guard back at place. They're going to probably draft an elite running back, okay? I don't know who it's going to be. They're going to draft an elite running back and balance it up in the running game. Xavier Worthy is going to be a star in this league. Rashee Rice is going to come back from injury. Travis Kelce is probably going to go away, but they're going to be fine with Noah Gray. It might not be Hall of Fame Travis Kelce, but I think he's going to walk. They're going to have Noah Gray. They're going to find tight ends. They drafted one this year. So they're going to be just fine. And Spags is still coaching the defense, and they're going to get themselves another edge rusher. All right, they're going to be fine. They're going to be right back where we're used to see them. Probably winning. I don't know if they're going to go to their 9th straight AFC Championship game, but they're going to be the team to beat in the AFC West, where they've won, 9 straight division titles. So I think Kansas City's going to be just fine. And then I just want to finish this here by talking about Jalen Hurts, the MVP of the Super Bowl. Jalen Hurts, when he came out of Oklahoma in 2020, he was the 53rd pick in the draft. The Eagles had the 53rd pick that year. And I was on record saying they should draft Jalen Hurts, even though they just gave Carson Wentz a big fat $50+ million a year contract. Because I thought Jalen Hurts is what you need to develop in this league. A winner, won at Alabama, won at Oklahoma, graduated from Alabama before he transferred, was a grad transfer to Lincoln Riley in Oklahoma, won his first 8 or 9 straight starts. I just thought his athletic ability, his arm, and the head for the game. Know that he was the son of the coach. His dad coached at Channelview High School outside of Houston. Like, that's what you want to develop. Well, little do we know that very quickly he would basically make Carson Wentz go away, take over the job. He inherited a team that was 4-11-1, had him in the playoffs every year, been to 2 Super Bowls in 3 years, now the Super Bowl MVP. And I don't care what anybody says. That performance by him, running for 72 yards, picking his spots, making key throws in the game. If you look at Jalen, take the week 16 game out where he was concussed in the first quarter against the Washington Commanders. Jalen Hurts went 14-0, including the Super Bowl championship. He turned the ball over a total in those 14 wins of 3 times, including the 1 interception by Brian Cook in the Super Bowl, which was down the 2-yard line, which was as good as a punt. The guy takes care of the football. He checked out of some bad plays, checked into some good plays, was cool as a cucumber, now has a Super Bowl MVP to his name, and is a viable top 5 quarterback in this league because all he does is win. I think he's won 37 of his last 50 starts, and he's been to 2 Super Bowls, and he's won in the postseason. So Jalen Hurts doesn't have to apologize to anybody. There's a lot of chatter out there that he's just a product of a system, a lot of yada, yada, yada. Well, okay, the system is the Eagles know how to build a team, and they know how to surround their franchise quarterback where they pay $55 million a year to him with elite players. So do that. You're these teams out there, 5, 6 teams in the top 10 need quarterbacks. Get yourself a quarterback. Don't be afraid to reach into the 2nd or 3rd round. But find that guy that loves the game, that is a true champion, that is a natural-born leader the way Jalen is. Started as a freshman at Alabama for Nick. Got beat out by Tua in a championship game and didn't transfer. Stayed the next year, helped him win the Big 12 the next year, or the SEC the next year. And then was a grad transfer to Oklahoma with Lincoln Riley. Wants to be coached hard, has been coached hard, and responds to the coaching. So anyways, that's my message about Jalen Hurts, that the conversation around him is bizarre, because if this was anybody else, you'd be saluting what he's doing. He doesn't do it by throwing for 400 yards, because that's not what you need to do to win in Philadelphia. But you need to control the clock, control the ball, let the offensive line go to work, feed Saquon. When they take Saquon away, find ways to go scramble for 16, 17 yards, first downs. Perfect the tush push that other teams have tried but can't perfect. Perfect that. Gain the yard when you need a yard. Hats off to Jalen Hurts for being the Super Bowl MVP. And who's going to be the next Jalen Hurts? Who's going to be that guy that isn't a top 5 pick, that isn't some super celebrity quarterback, that knows how to win? Congratulations to the Eagles, Jalen, and to the Super Bowl champions. Parade in Philadelphia tomorrow, down Broad Street, up the Parkway, up the museum steps, the Rocky Steps. Going to be over 1 million people out there. Stay safe. Enjoy the parade. Celebrate with the team. They're the biggest part of the Philadelphia community that it is. And I'll just finish this by saying this. Go Birds. Thank you for joining me.